Yeah. Let's make sure we got transmission here. Yeah, we do. Alright. Zip ties, plastic zip ties, are a mechanic's best friend. I keep some of these big ones around. These are pretty big, and they're wide, and they're very, very strong. Very strong. Even a big giant man, a muscle builder, if you tied several of these around his wrist, he would not get loose. There's no way he would get loose. And yeah, they should never take the place of a bolt, a screw, or a nut that goes on a bolt. Of course not. But these things are, I'll tell you what, people, they are a mechanic's best friend. Because see, these little zip ties, do you know, on Ford F-150s and a lot of cars that have the, it's the fuel pump sender module unit. It bolts on the inside of the frame close to the rear axles on the rear wheel drive. Do you know those have a tendency to rust in salt road areas? Do you know that several of these is all you need to hold those on? Because see, usually when you order one of those sender modules, you know, for your fuel system, I'm not talking about your fuel pump in your tank. This is a module sender unit, you know. Usually it's by the spare tire in your pickups. Alright, those, whenever they start failing, when you buy another one and install, these zip ties, they will come with different bolts to bracket them up there in different ways if the old holes rusted out. And in the Great Lakes areas, oh yeah, those bolts will break and those holes will rust out. But I'll tell you what, these zip ties, you can go with them and they'll hold. And I'll tell you something about those. This is something I told a man on YouTube yesterday. I was watching some videos just out of curiosity. If I ever needed a, you know, fuel sender unit module for my F-150, it's an O2 crew cab. I thought, I'd just like to know where it is. I like to stay up on things. I don't like for anything to control me. I like to control everything I have, you know. And, you know, I've watched that. And it turned out, one guy, he had one that when he would drive in rain, his vehicle would stall out. Okay, so he isolated the cause to that, and it found out the back of it had rusted out, and water would get in it, and then when it would dry, then his engine would start again. And you know, actually, there was a solution for that. Being after the water dried out, it worked again. It was a very simple solution. A plastic grocery store bag that has the little handles you get at the grocery store. Everybody's got them nowadays. Just take and wrap one of those around one of those modules, and then take duct tape and just wrap around that. And you know, that will probably last as long as you could ever possibly own that vehicle, and you can save yourself a lot of money. Because those really never fail. It's just, you know, they get damp, or the metal part rust on them where they mount on. But you can wrap them in plastic, and then just wrap duct tape around them, you know, and then the plug-in part. See, on his, that never would have happened again if he would have done that. It's very simple. Very simple. But zip ties, they are a mechanic's best friend. Because here's something I did today. On my '02 F-150, you know, recently I bought a brand new battery for it. The other battery, it was getting old. It was 12 years old, the other battery. So I put a new battery in it. I think it's been about 6 months now. Well, the positive terminal, you know, it's the old-fashioned terminals. You know, they have two bolts. You know, you have the one bolt that tightens it sideways, you know, over the battery post. But then you also have two other bolts that hold down this piece of metal that holds the cable into it itself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably don't know anything about any car in general. But, you know, it's where the cable itself goes into the terminal that way. And it'll have a bolt on each end that tightens down. Now, the problem I ran into, and it's the second time it's happened to me in 6 months, I'd go get in my Ford truck, and the battery would be potent and okay. It'd go click, 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 click. Okay, I'd walk out. That one end on the positive, it would be popped up. So I'd turn that bolt back in there, you know, with a wrench. I think those are 7/16. Yeah, and it held last time for a while, but then it popped up again, you know, recently. So here's what I did today, you know, and I did this to where I wouldn't cause a disconnection to my battery, to where I'd have to go through my drive cycle, you know, my monitor ready codes. God, I hate that when that happens. Oh, God. But anyway, see, I was able to avoid that because I had a good enough connection. But what I did, I just took the bolt itself out, you know, and I put vice grips over the whole assembly so it wouldn't come up when I took the little bolt out. I just put some Permatex number 2 on the threads, tightened it back up in there. But then I did something else. One of these big zip ties right here, I went under it, underneath the terminal, and then I went up to the top to where the zip tie here went right over the middle of that clamp piece of metal that goes over the battery cable. And I put this on here, and I grabbed my channel locks and I pulled that tight until it was good and tight. And then, of course, clipped the end off of it. People, I guarantee you, that will never, ever, ever come loose. As a matter of fact, let's say the bolt had completely stripped to where I couldn't even get it to turn in at all. You could take 2 smaller zip ties and just put through the bolt hole and then pull those zip ties tight. I guarantee you that would hold. But see, plastics these days, a lot of plastics are used to hold things together. And see, that's an area, man. You know, this method would work. It's not rigging, it's not cheap, and it's not stupid. See, I would go buy some good terminals. You know, the brass terminals that has the wing nut on top that tighten up. That's what I wish was on there. But here's the thing about it. I don't want to do that because I don't want to completely disconnect my battery and go through the drive cycle code. But I guarantee you, this right here, Lord zip tie I put on there, that is not going to come loose. Now, one of these could, you know, stretch after all or get loose if they was up on the engine with a lot of heat. You know, and you don't want to use one of these to, you know, in place of a clamp for a fuel line or a heater hose. Hell no, don't do that. But just to hold a piece of metal down, if this is away from the heat, it's not going to stretch and it's not going to break, man. But see, this is a flexible plastic. These are very, very strong, you know. These are used in industrial for a lot of things. And, you know, even Arnold Schwarzenegger, I would have to put 3 of these together. You can do that too. You can put 3 zip ties together. You just got to turn the heads of them all the same direction. And if I tied these around his wrist behind his back, there is no way he would fucking get loose. Because these are that strong. They are that strong. Sure, he could twist his wrists like this, but then, hell, it would cut into the bone, into the joint. This plastic is stronger than your muscles or your skin. It's strong. Don't get any evil ideas, people. Don't get any evil ideas. But, you know, that's the main thing I wanted to speak about. And I've got another purge valve on its way. It's going to be here Friday, according to USPS, you know, shipping number on it that I ordered. You know, it's an evaporator purge valve, and they call it canister. You know, they have that. I just call them evap purge valves. But I got one of those ordered. I got off eBay for $12.95. The reason I did that, because here's a symptom I've been having. Alright, I know my MAF airflow sensor is good. It's good. Because I have one I bought new at O'Reilly's that only had a few miles on it. But then I bought one off of eBay for $19.95 and put it on there and just saved the one I bought from O'Reilly's, and I got the $20 one on there now. It's perfect. Okay. But here's what happens. It starts fine when it's cold in the morning. Or it's actually, here it's not cold in the morning, it's 90 in the fucking morning. But I mean when the engine's go. Oh, it starts up fine. But I drive up the road a mile or so, I kill it, go out in the store or something, and I come back out, and it doesn't always does it, but a lot of times it's you know, longer cranking time, and then it'll start. And then when it does start, the engine will surge up and down, and then it'll catch itself and start running. And once it's running, it's okay. Okay, that right there, those symptoms, that's MAF symptoms, mass airflow symptoms, right there. But it's not the mass airflow in my situation. Now, I know it's not the damn fuel pump, and I'll tell you why. Because, okay, I have fuel rail pressure gauges. In mine, when the engine is cold, I can put, you know, my fuel pressure gauge on the fuel rail. It's on the right side on the 4.6 modular, or Triton V8, or what you call it. It's actually called the modular V8. And I put that on there. When it's cold, it registers without the engine running with the key on, 35 pounds. When I start it, 25 pounds. And that's exactly what that's supposed to do. It's supposed to do that. So that fuel pump is working great. There's no problem with that fuel pump. So more than likely what's happening, alright, see your purge valve for your evaporative system. Okay, here's how that works. You know, I'll explain that to you. Alright, it is a valve. Okay, it has an electric plug that goes into it so that your electronic control module, ECM, or power control module, a lot of people call it PCM, okay, recognizes its presence to where if there's a circuit malfunction, it can throw a code, you know, that the evap system isn't, evaporative system is not working properly. But what happens whenever you shut an engine off? Okay, the purge valve is supposed to close, because what it has a rubber line that goes to the back of your throttle body. The back of your throttle body. Okay, the other end goes to your gas tank. Okay, what this does, when you shut the engine off, that purge valve is supposed to close to keep fuel vapors from the gas tank from getting into your intake, which would cause a rich condition when you went to start it, or vapor lockup to where the engine would go, you know, that was a problem in the 1950s with a lot of Ford cars. Vapor locking the old Loblaw is to prevent that, so that vapors can't go into your throttle body from your tank and sit there, you know, and, you know, cause carbon buildup or too rich a condition when you start your engine. Okay, but then if one is stuck open, let's say, all the time like I'm talking about, when you go to start it, a purge valve doesn't open for the first 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, the MAF sensor is going to detect it as a vacuum leak because it's set up that after 3 minutes, the ECM reads the purge valve, and then, you know, in turn, the information from the mass airflow sensor detects that it is not too much intake. So, so it won't throw a code. See, that's a normal operation for it. And I think I might be having a problem there. It's very possible. Other than that, you know, there's other things. I've checked the 2 ground wires that go to the electronic control module. You know, that can cause that if they're loose, where they 2 wires bolt to, not your engine room. That's a single wire that bolts to your firewall, but you also have 2 ground wires that come from your ECM that bolt to your firewall. You know, you'll watch a video on that and you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh man, what else do I want to talk about today? Well, I came up with a great idea. You people that make these cars, make a car that lasts 50 years, that nothing ever goes wrong, to where we never have to open the hood. That's the solution. That's what us Americans want. So, does that make y'all want to vote for me? Okay, but I'm not going to take your ex-wife off your hands. I refuse to do that. Okay, always throw a little humor in there. You know, if you can't laugh, you're ruined merchandise. You allow life to ruin you if you can't laugh. If you have to scream because you're in pain, get some painkillers. Okay, but anyway, hope y'all are having a great day. Bye for now.